before because I knew it went. Yeah. Probably in a box.
Yeah, we should have known that.
Except that he has been making great progress in that whole. Everything except call to order, roll call. We are all here to work. We can stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes, the BOC meeting minutes for August 28th, 2025 are the first ones that we're discussing.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from August 28th.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept those minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. The BOC meeting closed session minutes, has everyone had a chance to review? If you have, please send them to Lori.
Yes.
Okay, so I would make a motion to accept those closed session meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Claims and accounts.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims and accounts for the period August 29th through September 25th, 2025. Claims in the amount of $100,396.28. EFTs in the amount of $1,520,563.85. Best checks in the amount of $103,261.76 for a total of $1,724,221.89.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
LaRose,
Yes.
Devon,
Yes.
Hamlin,
Yes.
Artie. Yes. Limited public comment. It's 3 minutes. Please, if anyone has public comment, no abuse of speech, no personal attacks. Mind Bill coming to the podium, be respectful. You are.
Houston William H., trustee for the Atlanta Senior Center. I was going to assume, and I don't know, is that right now we're going to see a PowerPoint following the public comment portion of this agenda prepared by McCullough. In July of this year, we were informed by the Atlanta Senior Center was informed that our contract will continue, that McCullough informed the Atlanta Senior Center that our contract for building use, preparation of congregate meals, home delivered meals, and also to serve congregate meals will continue. On September 8th of this year, we were told that the agreement would not be extended. On the 18th of this month, the McCullough board finalized the stoppages at the regular meeting. These stoppages were decisions and discussed at meetings on the 28th of August, the 2nd of September. That was without notifying the president, Mr. Davis, of the Senior Center. McCullough claimed there were computer issues. Our position is we have cell phones. Additionally, we do not have anybody on the McCullough board to speak for us. McCullough claims financial hardships. If you do have the PowerPoint, you'll see food costs, etc., but not revenues or balances. Donations, which are mentioned in the PowerPoint that we saw at their meeting, are suggested amounts, but not mandatory. This is not a case of financial hardship. There are management issues, financial management issues. They have $517,000 in their checking and money market accounts, and their revenues are consistently around $980,000 per year. McCullough projects that they will save $47,000 by this planned stoppage. $47,000 is minuscule compared to the $517,000 that they have in savings. We question their claim of hardship. At the end of the PowerPoint presentation at the McCullough meeting, the director turned to Mr. Davis and myself and asked us if we wanted to sell our building. We did not at that point want to discuss it, wrong arena, and besides that, the meeting was abruptly closed. This is the second time that that issue has been brought up. And we are wondering if this claim and method of stopping congregate meals at the center is really an endeavor or an attempt to place financial burden on the center and therefore close it. Why not address this issue up front? Talk to us about it. We're always open for discussion. Thank you.
Public comment?
Good morning. My name is Kelly Carl, and today I'd like to share some good news. As you know, one of your main roles in overseeing finances carries an important dual responsibility. First, you must safeguard tax dollars entrusted to you by residents and business owners. Second, you must also recognize and honor the value of county employees by ensuring that county commitments for their benefits, including retirement benefits, are properly funded. This is a balance between the two interests. Over the summer, I downloaded publicly available information from the county's website, including 5 years of audit reports going back to 2020. I organized and analyzed that data to look at long-term financial trends. I looked at general fund balances, the percent of the general fund you have on hand for operating expenses, the benefits owed to county employees, and the contingency savings for unplanned major emergencies. Here's what I found. Since 2020, Montmorency County has achieved a complete financial turnaround from a multi-million-dollar deficit to a multi-million-dollar fund balance, from zero savings to more than $1 million in savings. If all money stops coming into the county, you still have at least 52% of operating expenses on hand. Your main liabilities related to post-employment benefits, like healthcare, are down more than 65%. This is an achievement almost unheard of in Michigan counties, and especially in the face of rising inflation and rising healthcare costs. So what does this mean for taxpayers? It means that the taxpayers are much better protected. Establishing the contingency savings a few years ago demonstrates excellent financial planning on the part of those who set that up. What does this mean for county employees, retirees, and their families? It means that they can feel more secure that their pensions and benefits are being responsibly funded. Stability means that there is some level of certainty you might actually get these benefits when you retire. You couldn't say that back in 2020. What does this mean for our townships? Being in a position of financial strength allows the county to consider collaborating with townships on shared priorities. What does this mean for chambers of commerce? Well, stable county finances can help attract new businesses. I'd like to share my data tables with you, and I'll also be requesting past audits to extend this analysis back to 2015. It's important to share the good news on this amazing financial turnaround. Given this positive financial turnaround, I really believe it's fair to ask, why would the value of the controller's office even be under consideration? In fact, the larger question is, who was managing the budget back in 2020 when we had huge deficits and no savings? Where did all the money go? The financial data is clear. Our county has gone from financial instability to fiscal strength with strong reserves, reduced liabilities, and secure commitments to both taxpayers and employees and retirees. No one can disagree with that progress. In fact, I believe the county is really the envy of Northeast Michigan once we look at all the data going back 10 years. I hope you'll continue on this positive financial track. Thank you. And I've got a summary of my talk I'd like to include in the minutes if possible.
Lori, please. Thank you. Public comment.
Sometimes when I come up here, I feel like a broken record. I am going to repeat myself for a couple meetings that I've already repeated. So I remember asking a question one time when I was here, and the board says they don't have to answer any questions. I get that. But I would feel that if I ask you a question today, that I think the question should be answered maybe at the next meeting. Because I feel that the questions that I ask are important. And I think instead of somebody answering it out in the hallway, the people out here need to hear what the answer was instead of just me in the hallway. You know, it's just like I come here and some lady was up here talking and she had some very good points, but she ran out of time. So I said I would give her my time, and it worked. We got to do it. One meeting I came in here and I said, go ahead and give this lady my 3 minutes. And you guys all blew up. Oh, we don't do that no more. Well, you know, I haven't missed a meeting. I don't know where you come up with, you don't do that anymore, because I don't think it was a discussion at all. I think the decision was made by the controller, and I think that's wrong. You know, and we did this same thing 2 weeks ago or 2 meetings ago when you guys were talking about the credit cards, which I'm so sick and tired of hearing about credit cards because you talked about it for the last 10 months. And the new lady came into effect here and explained how their credit card was used for $1,000. It worked out really good. Everything was good. Boyd, he blew up and said, I'm not for it. I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden, April agreed with this lady. It sounds like a great idea. So then all of a sudden they voted and it passed 3-2. Boyd voted for it. So I feel that he's being led from our controller. I don't think you guys are using your own judgment and making your own decisions. I think you're letting the controller make the decision for you. That's how it looks like in my eyes when I'm sitting back here watching these meetings. The last question I got to ask you is in the Tribune, it showed the trial, the appeal court that she lost, the Agate girl. My question to you guys is how much taxpayers' money with attorney fees was put into this? I sure hope zero was put into this. Taxpayers shouldn't be paying for something foolish like this. Was very foolish in my opinion of how far it went. And I sure hope that we didn't pay for that. Thanks.
Public comment?
Morning, Sheriff Chad Brown. I just wanted to, that was a wonderful presentation by Mrs. Carl, and speaking specifically to the last 5 years of what has happened here within this county. But again, there's a lot of details, there's a lot of factors that go into county government, and I would ask, obviously, I don't think everybody on the board was here, but the analysis that she describes is from 2020 to 2025, and I ask you what occurred in 2021. Probably the hardest decision this county's made, and I can tell you the hardest decision I've ever made was transitioning our jail services to Alpena County Jail. That was a significant, the only office that has diminished in this office is the sheriff's office in that transition. Now, that current expense would be, I think at the time it was well over $800,000, and in current stats, it's going to be anywhere between $1.2 to $1.5 million. Should we have kept that jail open? Should we have tried to maintain that service? That really hard decision was made because we knew it was within the best interest of the community and of the taxpayers. So again, it's just when we're talking about things, I think it's important that we're truly holistic and talk about all the factors that went into that. It certainly wasn't just one office being created or, somebody coming in and saving somebody a bunch of money. There was a lot of hard decisions made prior to that office even coming into existence. So I just ask that everybody keep an open mind when you're looking at the struggles the county's made and the sacrifices that many people have made. Thank you.
Public comment?
Denny Davis representing the Atlanta seniors. I'd like to thank Bill for his presentation. I think he does a much better job. Kills lots of trees, trying to keep paperwork straight, which is so important in our today's business world. But some of the things that you folks don't deal with, I guess, is a lot of times the human side of everything. And from the standpoint of back when the building was built, community pulled together. Today, it's a whole different thing. Our COVID process got a lot of volunteers out of volunteering. Boards have a hard time getting things together. One of the big things, I guess, that I just do want to say that for representation of our McColl board towards us is that I was really disappointed in our representatives from Atlanta, that they were the ones that voted to discontinue services to Atlanta. Sometimes I wonder whether or not it's strictly a financial thing or whether it's kind of a personal thing. Those folks do not attend. They've been there once or twice over the years, but it's kind of like you have to be a part of the process or you're in from the outside looking in. It was kind of like a few weeks ago, we were offered a contract in verbal kind of a thing. And then a week after that or so, forget the dates exactly, then all of a sudden, poof, the monies are not there to support that issue. I guess they've always brought up about being fair and equal. And I guess I'd like to tell you that I'd like to protest the process of COLA kind of being equal and fair. It's not what we say, it's our actions that follow behind it. And one thing about it, I just have here where it was in the minutes that say the Atlanta Senior Center has caused an extra hardship for McColl for the past several years. And therefore it's recommended that McColl does not continue with a contract with Atlanta. I feel as though that there's maybe a lot of personal things that are there that are brought up because Bill and I have, Bill more so, he's an old super and he's more definitely, like I say, with more paperwork that makes things legal that everybody remembers that we have to do in due diligence. But it's just that I feel as though in kind of in ending, we all got to remember that I've asked before that we're millage supported. We're financially supported. We get Fed money, we get state money, we get donations. But one thing about it, we have a mill going here. I said, I'm going to no longer service you with your mill. I'm just about through with your mill. Are you going to support me? Are you going to support that process for the next year? Because if we went on a 5-year millage, now you say you're no longer going to receive that money. There's no checks and balance kind of in a process when it comes to millage that I see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Public comment? Hearing none. McCullough?
Everyone. I'm Beverly Crawford, the current director at Montmorency County Commission on Aging. I would first like to read you our mission statement so everybody knows what we are patterned after. The Montmorency County Commission on Aging is patterned after the older Michiganian Act. We are a not-for-profit, non-sectarian, and non-political organization. The purpose of McColl is to promote and safeguard the independence, welfare, and dignity of the senior citizens of Montmorency County. I have a few slides for you to go through, and then I will address some questions if needed. So I just want everyone to know kind of what McCoa does on a day-to-day basis. We are partnered with NEMSCA, so we do the My Choice waiver.
Sorry, I was trying to get them all on
This kind of gives a breakdown of all that we do. We have respite services, personal care services, homemaking services, as well as home delivered meals and congregate meals. So we do all those. We also offer VA programs, which we go into people's home and help the seniors just as well as we do for our senior citizens here. So I do have a contract with the VA. We give transportation to our people who are not able to drive to go to medical appointments or wherever they go. We take them shopping. We also have RN and LPN services, which we go out, we set up people's medications, the nurse does wound dressings, that kind of thing, just keeps eye on the people who are in their home and need that extra help and, you know, don't want to stay in their home for as long as possible. That's McCoa's true goal. We also do telephone assurance calls, nutrition education. We partnered with Senior Project Fresh. We also have a pantry where we have food for people who do not have the ability to come get it. We take it to them. And also medical and safety equipment loan closet we have. So if someone needed a walker, a wheelchair, a cane, any kind of thing like that, they can come to us and they can get it from us. And on the next page, just to talk.
Sorry, got it.
Yeah, just to talk about the service to date for this fiscal year, okay? So far this year, home delivered meals throughout Montmorency County, we've delivered 37,968 meals. We are lacking 1 month because those numbers have not been tallied or totaled yet. Congregate meals to date across 3 towns, the whole county, 14,176 meals. In-home care service hours to date, we have 3,248 hours and a quarter.
And the congregate means they're eating in.
The congregate means they're eating in Atlanta, Hillman, and Lewiston so far today.
Just breakdown of all 3 per town, what's the breakdown of that?
I do have it, and I will get to that. Let me see if I can find it. So in Atlanta, if we go to the next page, sorry, April. I will come to it. I'm just not sure what order it's in. So food costs versus donation for congregate meals. And all of this information is available and all the new slides will be available on the web for everybody to see. At any time, anybody can go to our website and look at any one of these pieces. So the Atlanta food costs would be the top one, Hillman in the middle, Lewiston on the bottom of this slide. And this is from 23-24. I can't see it because of the glare, sorry, excuse me. So easy to read. So we're going from October through September here. As you can see, the Atlanta food costs is the top line, Hillman top. And then the donations for that month is right under there. All that information is gathered and totaled by multiple people, the nutrition person, and then also the accountant and the nutritional coordinator at work. So if you see a parenthesis, so as you can see, all 3 were deficit in this amount on the end in 23-24. If you go to the next one. And then, as you can see, this is actually a little bit lower than last year, but reminding you that September is not in there. So we still have a little bit more to go. We have made every possible effort to cut food costs. However, everyone knows the cost of groceries has went up and there's no extra funding for McCoa to have extra to provide that. This is food costs. It's not separated here from home delivered meal. and congregate. And then on your next slide, we have a breakdown, starting with Atlanta. So as everybody can see, if you follow the numbers across, for Atlanta, the wages also include the taxes and the mileage, because that is paid out, because all of McCoa staff uses their personal vehicles. It includes all the costs for one center, and as you can see at the total at the bottom, we are at August, that number's gonna go up. So year to date, just the breakdown for Atlanta is $134,480.32, and we still have September to get through. On the next one, you'll see Hillman, same exact thing, year to date, $128,877.79, being we have to go through September as well. And last but not least, Lewiston at a $127,868.27. So these are projected to go up because of September. When all the additives are put on there, and so each center approximately $150,000 a year to operate. So that means you add them all together, you're at $450,000. McCoa gets $1 million. It takes the complete millage to support 3 senior centers. Pretty much. Okay, if you go to the next one, April. Okay, so on this sheet here, we did some digging and some interviewing other centers as well. If you add on the liability insurance, which costs McCoa approximately $14,000 a year across all 4 centers, which the 3 centers and the office we support, is about $14,000 a year, and that is mandated. Postage, we spend about $100 a month in our donation letters that go out, and billing, invoicing purposes for the bills we pay. And then, of course, every year we're independently audited by an outside firm, which is Dan Smith, who has for the past several years told McCoa at his findings that McCoa needs to do something, because in 2-4, we're at the 2-year mark. Last year, 2 years ago, when I started this job, if you don't do something, you're going to have to make cuts somewhere. Well, we're at that cut point now. So total meals served, I already went through that with you. Atlanta has a nightly total of once estimated across the whole thing, about 19 people are served at the congregate meal. At Hillman, 32 people are served at that meal. That's 4 days a week at all centers. Lewiston, approximately 44. So about 95 people is what the average has worked out total altogether. So for 4 nights a week, 95 meals are prepared and served at each of the senior centers. Under Region 9, which most people know, NEMSCA, all of these senior centers listed here were contacted and asked, how many people do you serve? And how many centers do you have? So as you can see, the ones that don't have the centers in this column. So Montmorency has 3 centers, and COA rents each of those kitchen spaces currently at $57 per day. Now, Alpena, 40 to 80. She said 40 was more their term. Every single one of these other ones, Roscommon, also same thing, 3 centers. However, their COA owns all their buildings, so they do not lease. And Presqu'île, the same thing. And Presqu'île has 2 centers, and they serve a total of 16 people. So that's 16 meals a night. One has 10 and the other one serves 6. So the estimated savings, sure, it's not a whole lot for one center. It's as estimated right now, by not leasing the kitchen, it's $47,182.66. So that being said, is that a lot? No. However, across the board, you add them all together, it's gonna be about $150,000. McCullough runs in a deficit every year and is pulling off of savings and has for quite a few years, and this, at that being about $150,000 loss a year. So the suggested donation price per meal for home delivered meals is $4. And on that donation, which is tracked and brought back, all estimated in 23-24, McCullough was getting donated back 83 cents. That's what that meal cost at least $12 for us to prepare. And that's what McCullough received in donations. Now, that's not including the small thing that we are with NEMSCA, which for home delivered meals is, hang on, sorry, I don't want to get them mixed up. One's higher than the other. So for the congregate meals, we get $2.54 back from NEMSCA. So even at $2.54, so if you'll go, so that is 23-24. If you go to the next slide, this is the current fiscal year. So donations are up a little bit, and you can go through each month and see. So across the whole, all three centers, we get approximately $1.03 in donations, and we get $2.54 from NEMSCA when we're partnered and we have to contract for that, and we do run their programs. So that being added together, $3.59, and that meal costs us $12 to prepare. Okay, we'll go to the next one. So at Atlanta for congregate meals, across with the donation, with the person's donation and with the NEMSCA added into our payback for that meal, the approximate we're getting is $3.67 per meal for that. So that does not include, it doesn't include wages for the cook. That cook has been here with us for 30 years. Is this a hard choice? Yep. It's not just Atlanta, though. I want everybody to know. It's also Hillman. It's also Lewiston. We do not, it's a donation that a box is set up at the beginning of the door. McCullough cannot man that to make sure. So is everybody paying their price, that $3.50? It's also been asked, why doesn't McCullough raise that rate? McCullough has thought about that and put out surveys, and most people are mad. They say, well, we're taxpayers, we pay the millage, but as you can see, the millage doesn't cover anything but the centers. So we have currently run off with 24 staff, most of them being there multiple years, 30 years, 25 years, 8 years, right down to that we have a few new ones. But however, it's not about, it's in order for us to function and with the small amounts we get. Now with the other amounts we get from NEMSCA, we also get paybacks for, we would participate in their waiver program. Their waiver program pays by 15-minute increments. So, and all the prices are different. And you have to bid those. Yeah, I have to bid those every year to get it. So same with the VA. Even at that, and you guys will see on that one page on the financials for the VA thing, we received, which I got back, which McCullough didn't have any contracts left. So we were working off NEMSCA and the millage, pretty much, with additives of the VA program and and the grants that we have received. Thank the good Lord for those, because without them, who knows, McCoa may not be here today. So I want you guys to see that this has not been a light thing. This discussion has been going on for over 2 years. It has been brought up prior to my executive director position. And also currently, if we don't do something, we're not gonna be here for any of the senior citizens. So Atlanta congregate meals. This one is 24, so currently between donations and, let me see what this says, congregate meals served, you will see how many were served in each month. Total donations received for congregate, so that is deposited daily by the cook after tallying, doing all of her paperwork. She has to fill out a paper that says how many people were there, how many meals were served, what the food cost was for that day, has to be broken down every day. And then at the end, that's how we get that number. And mind you, that's congregate and it is also home delivered meals. But for the total of the month so far, we're at 30,000 minus what we got from donations and payment from other places. We're still at a deficit of $18,562.15. Go to the next one. So the Hillman congregate meals, same thing. They're at a deficit of $18,116.67 once you figure everything and do the math. Math does not lie. So go ahead and go to the next one, please. And then this one is Lewiston at a deficit of $15,599.82. So this being all September still has to be calculated, and so that number will probably go. And then just to address a few of what was said, our website has all the information, and this PowerPoint will be present so everybody can look at it to see why this has been a really hard decision. And the board has looked across, the finance committee has met multiple times trying to figure out how to work it, how to do it, how to make everything work. Eventually some cuts have to be made. And unfortunately, when you serve a light load on congregate at 19 people, it wasn't personal. It's never personal. We're here just to take care of the senior citizens of this county. And no one is treated any differently than the next. They all need help. McCoa is going to be there to help them and do whatever they can to help them. However, if McCoa continues to support 3 separate centers and loses or uses $150,000 per year, which has been going on for multiple years now, and now we're at a critical point to where we have to make decisions, and not everybody likes them. We don't want to change congregate meals brought in to Atlanta. We just can't afford to lease all 3 kitchens. So the board made the hard decision to prepare and pass out. No services will change, except for we wouldn't be leasing the kitchen. That was to help McCoa save more money to continue on and be there for everybody in this county.
Which site are you saying that they're not leasing the kitchen?
In Atlanta.
What went into that decision of Atlanta versus other centers?
Atlanta has the least amount of congregate over the past 4 to 6 years. The congregate intake was some nights it's 5, some nights it's 19. Most recently, there's been an uptake of up to like 30.
So was it even considered doing something to reduce costs on all three towns?
It was, and we've been making cuts. Actually, we started in the in-home services portion first. All homemaking was put on hold, and we've had a waiting list now for 2 years for homemaking. And the nurse goes out and makes sure everybody qualifies. And if not, we've had to make some changes there too. With discharges, which is reported monthly and can be found on the website under the nurse's report.
So the money in the savings account, again, you are drawing down how often?
We draw down by the end of the year.
Okay.
By the end of the year, we have, 2 months ago, we started to take it out of there, out of the money market and the savings.
You have some balances?
Yes. I thought I had them in there. I'm really sorry. Did forget them. I can get them to you today.
On the additional cost sheet, so the liability insurance postage and independent audit, you kind of have those separate from the spreadsheets prior.
Yeah,
But-
that was because I did not have those numbers. I had to get them from the accountant, so they were put on there.
Okay, they're in the Atlanta spreadsheet, I guess, but not the Hillman and Lewiston, so.
Right. I wanted to,
Consistency.
right, yeah, exactly. And they should have been all placed together. However, coming down to the wire and we just had a finance committee meeting yesterday, so a few of those things had to be changed.
Okay, I'm just saying like they're here, which is fine, they're not in here, but they're not in Lewiston and they're not in Hillman, but they made it into Atlanta, so I think if this is gonna be posted, like just for consistency's sake,
And it will be,
they
it's
should
just,
be added in all of them,
Mhm.
or not in any of them.
I do have another question. For the liability insurance, if they are not using the kitchen, are we gonna be saving money on our insurance then?
yes,
Do we know about how much that'll be?
that is a question that I have out to our insurance agent right now.
Okay,
To me, that if you're running all about equal losses for the year. So a little bit like Atlanta's being signaled out.
Actually, no, when they're not being singled out, a cut had to be somewhere. And
We're all losing about the same amount of money a year. Why Atlanta?
that's a good question. You can ask the board that question.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Just because you've talked to me about this stuff before a couple times, but when you stopped doing the services at the kitchen in Atlanta, you told me that the people would be put in different positions at other places.
Yes.
Just something that was brought up to me and I'm just asking if the board ever asked it. Have you ever thought about just having one kitchen and then servicing all 3 centers? Because then you would save 2 kitchen leasing and then have one central.
Absolutely,
Okay.
we have thought all of that and offered it to all. And no, nobody wants to do that. It was offered to not lease the kitchen this year after all other things had been exhausted during that time. And all of those things are in the board minutes. And all the employees were able to be placed at other centers. So that way a McCoa employee did not lose their job. Because like I said, the cook has been there for 30 years. And McCoa can offer no health insurance, no retirement, nothing like that. So she's been here for 30 years because she does love those people, because she does love to see them. And they've become her family. Of course, she's been feeding them for 30 years, so.
I was the president of the Hillman Senior Center when Lewiston shut down and those cooks were moved over to Hillman to cook all of the meals. So you've got like double the people trying to work in the same space all at the same time, and that was very, very difficult. I can't imagine putting 3 centers worth of cooking in one center. I don't care if it's Lewiston, Atlanta, or Hillman. I just can't see how it would work. It would probably be a detriment to the McCoa services.
So what changed from, just going to Mr. Houston's comments, what changed from July to September? In July, is he's claiming that the senior center, so they would continue, but then in September, not?
Last year's contracts, we had to extend them by 3 months. We had to have a lawyer involved and write up the paperwork to extend the current contract for 3 months because nobody could, all the stuff was prepared back then and showing what the centers were costing. And we reached our hand out and asked, could you please, we can't afford $70 a day. Could you please take 57? And of course, 57, we got them down to $57 a day, agreeing on that. So in one of their requests last year was to start the negotiation process early. So the board requested that I send out the contract to them so they could look at it and see that nothing would change. However, to get the process going, saying, okay, it's time to start negotiations. They wanted it started a month early. That went out in July instead of August. So that was not a contract, and it's clearly stated on the letter that in the letter and on a sticky note, this is not a contract. This is a draft. Please know that we are starting the negotiation process. If you have any wishes, concerns, whatever, we're going to start that process. And each individually, we've met with each of the centers individually multiple times.
So you started negotiations hoping it was more affordable, that you could continue the contract?
We wanted that thing that went out was the exact contract as last year.
I guess I'm confused by that. So you had a draft contract in July, but you were intending that would likely the services would be ended with the senior
No,
center.
that was not. That was voted on in September at the board meeting. After
Okay.
all of the information and data was into the finance committee, met multiple times, and without, it has nothing. McCoa cannot survive another year because the savings is down that far to where all services will end.
I still think that something could be done between all three to cut costs, if it means reducing by 1 meal a week on every town. There'd be a significant savings, I would think.
One meal, we have to supply, we have to offer a congregate meal 5 days a week. And the only reason why Atlanta works Monday through Thursday and Hillman works Monday through Thursday, we get away with that 5th meal by serving at Lewiston. They serve Friday and not Wednesday. So their day off is Wednesday. So we do offer a hot meal 5 days a week.
It's 3, you could still vary the days and still have 5 hot meals a day.
Under the contract with Demska, it has to be offered 5 days a week. And unfortunately, we've tried everything to get food costs down. I cannot change that. I can't change what people charge for food. I will tell you, when Freddy's has a sale on pork loin or they have a sale on chicken, one of us at the office is going down and buying 6 cases of it, 2 for each center. So they have it in the freezer. I tried working with Aunt Millie's bread. I've tried working with the milk companies because we also supply milk and bread once every 2 weeks to all the people as well. And we all know how much milk costs and bread.
No congregate meals will be served in Atlanta, or it's going to be delivered from one of the other ones.
The plan was to deliver meals to the center. Tammy, the cook, would bring it back, serve the same people she always has. It just would not be prepared in their kitchen.
And it gets the warmed up leftovers.
When they're getting delivered to the homes, they're in bags. They're heated tight bags, so that the people, when they get their meals, they are warm.
Mhm.
So in a timely manner, if they're delivered from Hillman or Lewiston, they're still gonna be warm.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Nina Sork. I'm the Executive Director for Northeast Michigan Community Mental Health. I've been employed with Northeast since 2008 and been the director since 2019. Excuse me. I'd also like to introduce a Montmorency resident who just joined our administrative team. It's Kara Steinke. She has 31 years of experience in the substance use disorder world with Catholic Human Services. And she's now come to be my chief administrative officer. And Kara and I worked together when she was 19. And I worked at Catholic Human Services. So we're coming back around at the end of this circle, I guess, of our careers and working together once again. So first of all, I want to let the Board of Commissioners know that Northeast Michigan Community Mental Health is fiscally sound again this fiscal year. You can have in the report there, you'll see our financial picture. And also the Northern Michigan Regional Entity, which we're a part of for all 21 counties of Northern Michigan. That is also financially sound, and we have a fully funded internal savings fund. So you'll see on there, we had a small deficit in the last fiscal year, 2024. I have to come every year and give a report on the previous year. But that was a planned deficit. We had some finances that we didn't spend in 23. And so we had planned and budgeted to overspend and try to use that money in 24. If we hadn't used it by then, we'd have to return it, which we do. We also, once we take care of everything we need to take care of, the money that we have not spent at the end of the year goes back to the state of Michigan and taxpayer dollars, and it ends up in the general fund of the state budget. So I also want to thank the commissioners for appointing Charlotte Hellman as a board member, and also Lloyd Peltier as a commissioner sits on our board as well. And they are both very active on our board and very engaged in the work that we do. So now let me take you on to our annual report. If you'll turn to page 25, and this is for fiscal year 2024. You'll see that we serve 2,140 individuals. And we serve always right around 2,000. Yes.
Where's that report?
I handed it out to you there, right in front, right there.
But you said page 25, they only have.
Page 5.
Okay.
Did I say
Okay.
25? I'm
You did.
sorry.
Got
Looking at
it.
2024, fiscal year 25, no, page 5.
Okay.
Okay. So we typically serve a little over 2,000 people a year. So there was a little bit of a drop this year to 2,140 on fiscal year 24. This included 1,225 adults with serious persistent mental illness. That is our specialty population that we must treat. Okay, so that's 1,226 adults with that diagnosis, 533 children with a serious emotional disturbance, 381 persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and we assisted 1,098 people in our crisis programs. We can serve anyone in crisis when the specialty programs and case management or our psychiatric services, they have to have Medicaid, but we can serve anyone in any community for crisis services. And we served almost 1,100 people last year in that program. Our psychiatrists, physicians, assistants, and nurse practitioners, people that manage people's symptoms and medications, they assisted 1,334 individuals in that program. And we serve 285 identified residents of Montmorency County. We always have an idea, a little bit in our data of somebody that we don't know what county they're from. And maybe they were so delusional they couldn't tell us where they lived, so we didn't catch it. But the people we did catch their counties, it was 285. Okay, so Montmorency's allocation for us is $38,524 is what it costs for the county. If you take that 285 people, the county paid $135.17 per person we served for their mental health services or their intellectual developmental disabilities. It's a bargain because we became authority. Your rate that you pay per person, per population stayed the same over the last 25 years. My rates have gone up. So I think you got a deal there when you agreed to allow us to become an authority. We get most of our funding through Medicaid. Okay. Just to give you an idea about that $135, it cost me about $1,200 to $1,500 for 1 day of inpatient psychiatric care. It has just skyrocketed healthcare costs, as you all know. Let's see here. For the past 50 years, okay. Oh, this is the other thing I want to talk about. You see on page 5 that we had a budget of $39 million. That's $39 million that pretty much stays in our 4 counties in the economy. It's salaries, it's goods and services. We operated 9 group homes until recently. We buy all of our food, we feed them, we buy the goods, the toilet paper locally. So that's a big boost to the economy if we were to go away. For the past 50 years, the mental health system in Michigan has been run and operated by county-based government entities to serve Michiganders with complex mental health, emotional disturbances, intellectual and developmental disabilities, and some substance use disorders. The study by the Center of Healthcare, Innovation and Integration found that Michigan's public mental health system has a long tradition of high performance. Each year, more than 325,000 Michiganders receive their services and care from the local community mental health of the state. But I'm here and I sent you a letter back in July and I'm asking you for a resolution because MDHHS has recently implemented a competitive procurement process for the state's public behavioral health plans. This is yet another attempt, they've tried 2 other times in the last 10 years, to privatize the public system. There have been 2 previous attempts that have gone through the legislature. And if you don't like the system, that's where it should change, with the people that are representing the people that put them in office. This time that failed miserably both times. This time they're doing it administratively by a bid out to private insurance companies to take over the $4.5 billion Michigan carves out for the system. So we believe that this plan would strip counties of local oversight and allow large outside organizations to make key health decisions about care. If new contractors take over, leftover Medicaid funds to be kept, it's in the bid, that private places can keep the profit. If you're a public entity and get the bid, you got to turn it back to the state. So there's just something wrong with that. So if there's a problem with services, people call me. They call me up and we work it out. If they need something, they're not getting something, they don't know what to do, there's some discrepancy. You know I don't work with the jails in Atlanta because you no longer have jails, but I work with the jails in Presque Isle and the jails in Alpena. So you can call me up and we can work it out. This goes to private. You're going to get some corporation in another state, and good luck trying to get them to respond to the issue you have in your community. So this proposal strips the funding from local public CMHs by diverting CMH dollars to private organizations. The PHPs have a 2 to 3% administrative overhead. That is, and the Medicaid health plans or the nonprofits, they can come in and immediately bill Medicaid dollars, 15% for administrative health plan. That's $500 million comes out of the state of Michigan, goes right to administrative overhead, paying high salaries for executives that come out of services. $500 million just off the top the moment this happens. So because I'm a governmental entity, this is the other thing I want everybody to know and think about. It's because I'm a governmental entity, CMH, we have governmental immunity. It means that you can sue us. But if we're doing everything the way we're supposed to and following policies, it's very difficult to sue us because we were set up to take the most high-risk, highly litigious populations and serve them. And so if this goes to private, they don't have any government immunity. I worked in the private sector for years. You're not going to have I have 3 psychiatrists. You're not going to have a psychiatrist that are going to take this population on and treat them. You're not going to have social workers, psychologists, licensed professional counsels that will risk their livelihood, their private practices, their malpractice insurance, because they're going to have lawsuits or threats of lawsuits or depositions happening all the time. That's why they don't get served anywhere else. and they have to come to us to get their services. So, and since that time, they've wiped out most of the institutions. There's hardly any psychiatric beds allowed in the state institution. So those people are gonna be in the jails. They're gonna be housed somewhere in housing centers because nobody's there to take care of them. You would not believe the people that we manage in your counties and keep them safe and stable. We go out to their homes and give their anti-psychotic injection every month or every 2 weeks, whatever it's due. We go to them to keep them stable so they can keep functioning and they can work. We have 15% of our seriously emotionally mentally ill people have jobs. And back in the day, if you were that, you're on disability, there's no way you could keep a job. My goal is to get a quarter of those people up and working. So I just want you to think about that if the system gets privatized. There will be no one there to take on the high costs and providing services to the population. And so we're asking that the county commissioners join. It changes every day. Last count, it was more than half of the counties signed a resolution opposing this PHP bid out. So I've sent you your resolution.
Nina,
We're asking you.
we approved this in July.
Oh, you did?
And
We didn't
I
get
just
it.
sent you another copy just so you have it.
Oh,
signed
okay,
and
wonderful.
everything.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you because you join over half the counties. And I'm going to be presenting for skill. Maybe they've already done it. We haven't gotten notified, but now that's 3 of the 4 counties. We do have resolutions. And we are taking this to court October 9th and challenge this bid out in the Court of Claims on October 9th. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. I appreciate your ongoing support for community mental health and the services that we provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a 10-minute recess.
I know.
Another email.
That's fine. No, that's fine. It's just,
It's just where I
I
sit. Are you gonna want,
Or IT people.
you know, I know it's a short one, but you're gonna want to anyway, right?
All right.
Please.
Thank you.
No one has to. Okay,
So I'm gonna go and get them.
okay, that would be great. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
It's on, no, it's at Charlton.
Oh.
Yeah. And then that way.
Oh, that makes sense.
I thought they were in here. Well, we started looking at it.
Wednesday, so they meet on
Last
Friday.
thing.
They're, well, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. But anyway, we tried to make it so we could meet even if we did it 30. Everybody else is 5. That's what it was. You know, we wanted to But I'm concerned that next year when the village, people large, I mean, they're gonna get a hold of this again. Well, why should I want to go? They're not getting the services. They're gonna.
Hi Angie, this is Michelle. Just want to let you know.
And they're required to have 130 degrees
The whole.
to the plate. They can hardly get 130 degrees coming out of the oven. It's just their profile. Yeah.
No, we can go to that. We've been busy.
I told him to take a break. Not to work. He's gotta use his hands all
Just not to take care of you at all. Like say 500 meals, no, there's 25. 400 meals. No matter where I don't care where you're at, when you said 5 meals. Yeah, you get 5 days. Yeah, for one place, not our place.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but because we go over there, yeah, because they get 5 days. No, it's not good, so they get 4 days. I mean, it just, because there's like service. I'll do it brought up. Service out of me. Can't make that work. Well, man, it's got a bigger kitchen. Yeah. I think it's like a pregnant. See, when they get it for kitchen, they'll show them a strip kitchen. Because the appliances, but the appliances want them to build on size. They're gonna show us. So you say all you want. I just really, I read there that you've been on the other side by asking the question. And they wouldn't give the answers. No longer become 501. Yeah.
So I think everybody should
Well, I mean, I was at the point where I was willing to stay there. You take over our building.
So what
The only thing is, you are gonna have.
I'm trying to think of what day it ended.
4 days a week.
I think that's important, but. But I'm like, I'm not worried about
They
like
said that they didn't have
their
it.
response to things, so yeah.
So they just, they do it down, they still have produce, but they have it down in. Those days.
I know it's 30. It's awesome.
It's kind of like-
Yeah.
And she was saying,
Who can I talk to?
they get greenhouse.
One or the other.
How are you? Yeah.
They're
Right. Well, this year they, he's been hippie eating. The young people.
No, my first thought.
To come to different towns, their kids were going back to college.
Got it.
And so they just.
Didn't have a serious. Yeah. We know about that.
But I know Susan, pick it up.
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter to me.
It's
It's still 73. It's just the blower.
Longer longevity, higher price. Assistant.
In Charlotte.
Now they take that lower pay.
I'm like,
She will walk away there, so now they raise the cost.
who does that?
That went back to the,
You're not going to,
to get these.
because that's the higher pay.
She went back to get it.
Yes.
So she went back to get
They're not gonna pay her any more drive.
it. She said so.
And then they're gonna say, you have to drive.
Yeah, I'm sure that would help.
They've already. I'd say,
Yeah, I know.
or maybe you might.
Yeah, it's not bad. Savings
I did my.
take so hard to build, but.
Other Michigan.
He's also has. Okay. We're just waiting for Lori. Okay.
Well, the council on aging they are not. We're not.
That Bev went back to get the financial statements from McCoy. She said she'll hopefully be back here.
Okay.
Give those out.
Okay.
So. Right. Okay, so you're.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's in that.
The next time we meet, I'll just like.
Keep things
Some
flowing
changes
year
to
after
tonight,
year.
results and stuff that I wanted to.
Okay.
Get into last year.
Restaurant, they have special food seniors. We have baked bread, they bake donuts, you know, we try to encourage.
You were a little.
Maybe we get an internal kitchen. Like they do. Donuts where they actually-
Dawn has asked, because it is the end of the month, if you don't have any other meetings after today, turn in the time sheet. you know, short.
Yeah.
I have one, TBTA is concluded today, but I already pre-filled it in.
Okay. Dawn asked that because Amanda wants to, even though it's short, if you could turn in your time sheet, your expense form to, it's great, unless you have it too. That would go through.
At some point, if you and just interested in hearing. What the differences are.
We know where you are on Wednesday.
It'll be Tuesday next week. I'm trying to get your inputs into
Back in session.
Well, let me turn you on first.
You want me to hit the gavel again?
If you like to. But now you're back.
I love the gavel. Okay. Department head report, emergency management.
All got the report that I sent or sent out for me. Just a few things to add. I did meet with the Joe Berg, Lewiston Superintendent of Schools, and Gina Robertson, the principal at Lewiston Elementary, with a lengthy meeting with them about kind of outlook on the schools. And so I'll be going to Hillman, Atlanta, doing similar visits with the other two schools. Also met with Albert Township. Doug Baum has, with his other hat under NEMCOG, they do a lot of planning. And so I met with Doug to go over kind of a new outlook on a township master plan to include public safety and emergency management, which I thought was brilliant. So I spent some time with Doug going over kind of the strategic outlook of emergency management, where we are, where we were, where Montmorency County was, where we are today, where I hope to see this program with in 3 years, in 5 years, and kind of what that outlook looks like from a master plan outlook. And so Doug got my wheels turning on a lot of this because they're very good about what they do over at NEMCOG. And so kind of got some things laid out. And so I hope to bring a more polished copy of what I came up with for that, as well as they're going to be including a portion of that in their master plan, which I think is really great. So, and maybe down the road, other townships will follow, and maybe Montmorency County will be earmarked kind of for people to start doing that across the state. But I thought that was a brilliant idea, and thank Doug for his involvement, including me in that. So other than that, you can kind of see it's again been a very busy month. Things are getting very organized, and I continue to do outreach with fire, EMS, and law enforcement. We do have emergency action guidelines for the Elk Festival this weekend, as well as a live National Weather Service feed that all the departments have access to, including the president of the Elk Festival. So at any given time, they can click on that and we can see weather. But it looks like it's going to be a great weekend. So I'm confident we're not going to have any issues with weather moving in, but that's just something that we're going to be adding to every community festival event going on, that we'll have that at our fingertips. So the emergency action guidelines will be going out. The final version will be going out today to all those parties involved, and I think it will be a great weekend. So not sure if you have any questions.
I see you held the quarterly LEPC and LPT meeting. And how did that go? Because
it went good. It's great to get back in the routine of things. We do most certainly have to get some things in place. As far as the chair, I know that we do have a chair that was shared with MSP, chair, information officer, and that type of thing. But we'll have to look at the structure of who's really going to be on as a member, who's just a member of the public that they're attending. And I do have bylaws, a draft that I'm kind of working on, and I hope to bring that to the next quarterly meeting because a lot of that is outlined in the bylaws that we should have in place. So I know Mike had started working on it, and then I've kind of gone in a different direction of a draft. So so we'll have a draft to everyone before the next quarterly meeting, and we'll get that polished and finalized. So
I see that we have 34 generator applications.
Yes.
How's that going?
It is going fabulous. So we got 34 applications, 30 businesses were awarded generators. Those people have been notified. The folks that did not get generators successfully, I have spoken to 3 out of the 4 of them so far. 2 did not meet criteria because they were a nonprofit status that didn't quite fit with what the state was looking for. The 2 businesses, their explanation was not quite as community focused as what the others were. So they've all been notified. I was waiting for, once they were notified of the congratulation letter they received, there was then a secondary form that they had to fill out with how many employees, their tax ID number and all that stuff. So I'm waiting on 3 of those. I reached out to those folks yesterday, and once we get those 3, we are like moments away from putting everything together with a fresh quote from Home Depot and getting things ordered. So
How long do you think it would be from the time everything was okayed till the businesses would receive the?
Home Depot just emailed me a couple days ago, and he said it's like 6 to 8 weeks out. So it's not a real timely thing. I think with all the counties having access to the same fund, the generator grant, Home Depot, the companies that they're working with are being inundated with these generators.
Well, hopefully before winter, so they can at least get them installed.
Yeah. So yeah, Home Depot is very busy right now with generators.
Generators altogether, are we trying to give out?
For the region, or so
Yeah,
we're
for
giving
the
out
grant.
30, so
Yeah,
30 for Montmorency County. And they'll get the works. They get gas cans, they get oil, the extension cords. They'll get a cover if they need to keep it outside, keep it enclosed. They'll be getting a mount kit if they wish to hardwire it in. So they get everything they kind of need to be up and operational.
So
So,
all 30 go through them and be done with it.
yep, and all 30, yeah, so we got 34 applications and 30 businesses that we've awarded them to. So if they still wish to all accept them, we should get rid of all of them, which is a great thing.
It's pretty equal spread between Hillman, Atlanta, and Lewiston. I think we had like 10 in each, pretty much 10. It was maybe 9 in one and 8 in.
Yeah, so it's pretty consistent across the 3 communities, and then Vienna also was in on that, so. Yep. All right. Yep.
Thank you, Sarah.
The Atlanta Center has been designated as an emergency shelter. And you said you were going to go to the Atlanta schools. Could there be some communication in terms of our capacity is about 175, how many students we might be able to take? Are the parapros or teachers, are they going to stay with the students? And then, of course, we have to determine how we're notified to open up the building.
Yep, and so that's something that I'm working with the schools, so
That's what I was saying.
yeah, so we're talking about reunification and all that, so, and
Okay.
I'm aware that the senior center is kind of involved in all that, so.
You'd make us happier if you got us a generator too.
Yes,
I-
well,
I know small business.
yes, we would
Been there.
like to get all of our shelters hooked up with generators, so that's, we're work in progress.
I'm still trying.
Treasurer?
A little bit lengthy. I haven't been up here for a little bit, but I just want to let everybody know what we've been doing in our office. Treasurer talks update. We've had 2 meetings so far this year, and the next quarterly meeting is tonight. This is well attended by the township treasurers and their deputies. It's been a great opportunity for them to get to know each other and open lines of communication. It has also started to set some uniformity to how all the townships handle situations and produce procedures within the county. We've had a great showing. The last 2 meetings, I think went well. We didn't have 2 township treasurers the first quarter. The second quarter, we were missing 1, and then tonight I think we're gonna miss 2, but it's been really great. Computerized tax roll.
I have asked all townships at the very first quarterly meeting that we had to submit their application to the state of Michigan to produce computerized tax rolls, and they have with no hesitation. In fact, they were excited. We have 5 out of the 8 townships that have been returned, completed, and the remaining 3 should be trickling in soon. There's a little bit of a miscommunication as to who had to sign the paperwork, so we had to do it a couple times, but anyways, we're moving on it. Montmorency was one of the 8 counties in the state of Michigan that was not computerized. So this certifies that the local assessor and local tax collecting unit will maintain the assessment roll both electronically and in written format and provide both for public viewing. It also allows local treasurers to transmit their rolls to my office electronically. All townships, once approved by the state of Michigan, will electronically submit their rolls quarterly. This will allow me to settle throughout the year, avoiding chaos during the regular settlement period. We will also be able to catch and fix any error within a 3-month period. So this year was a little bit challenging for me, just being new and then getting thrown right into settlement. So reaching out and attending conferences, like I said, I realized that we are one of 8 counties that aren't computerized. So we're kind of like in the dinosaur age with that. But SEGO requires their townships to send over their tax database every 2 weeks. With their disbursement, I'm like, pump brakes. I'm not there yet. We're all new at this. So we're going to start off quarterly this year, which we're halfway, 3/4 of the way through the year now. So we'll try and do at least 1 or 2 before the main settlement. But hopefully we're going to try and get it monthly. So that's going to make our settlement process a lot easier. The currency machine. On 9/2, September 2nd, our machine recognized the first counterfeit bill of $50. Thankfully, the customer was still at our window and was able to provide a non-counterfeit bill back to pay their taxes. It was the older couple, they were mortified, had no idea where they had got it from. They had no idea it was counterfeit and were instructed to take the counterfeit bill to the sheriff department to record a formal report. My staff handled the situation the best they could. This posed a question needing a solution. We'll discuss the counterfeit policy later in the agenda. I was absent that day. I was camping with my family, so my staff handled it the best that they could. We've talked about it now, and we'll talk about the policy that I proposed for the whole credit or the whole county. The foreclosure sale, it was a successful land sale, and it was held on August 28th. 8 parcels, I say 8, it was actually 9, 2 of them were combined because they had to be, but 8 parcels were listed for auction and all bids met or exceeded the minimum bid price. 2 winning bidders did not complete their sale within the 5-day window. A $1,000 penalty was imposed by Title Check, which is our third-party auction company, to both, and both bidders are banned from all future auctions. That's their policy. It's not mine. However, they said that now the county gets we get the fine, now $2,000 for that. 1 property was offered to the next highest bidder by Title Check, and they've agreed to complete the sale. That's good. The other one is up for resale. It's rebid, and actually the sale is tomorrow. Statutory mailings. The second required notice of delinquency was mailed on August 15th, meeting the September 1st deadline. The publication deadline notice will be mailed next, notifying property owners in forfeiture of the November 26th deadline to pay without their name being listed in the Tribune. We get quite a few calls for that. People don't like their name in the Tribune. So that's the date. Petty cash audit, the second biannual petty cash audit has been completed in every office. Lake level and Hiawatha funds. I held a meeting with Warren Miller of Spicer Group and Charlie Arbor a few months back to get me caught up to speed with the Hiawatha special assessment. Mr. Arbor was able to give me history of the lake level funds as well, dating back to 2017. He asked about sending him quarterly reports. I said, absolutely. And the first one that I pulled looked a little incorrect. So I met with April, and they were, she agreed that the 2 funds, 841 and 891, needed to be corrected as well. So April worked with our auditors, and they were able to structure the 2 funds correctly. Now I'll be able to provide Mr. Arbor with quarterly reports and the general ledgers reporting properly. MAT, Michigan Association of County Treasurers, assigns regions throughout the state and encourages meetings and communication within that region. Paula Wright from Otsego County is our current Region 2 Director, and she schedules quarterly meetings. I have not missed one opportunity to gather and discuss amongst my peers the duties of my office. My chief deputy has also attended with me. We're going again in a couple weeks. I've made that as part of her goals to attend 2 a year with me. The networking and education during these casual meetings are priceless. It truly is priceless. Some of these girls have been doing it for 20-something years, and it's just awesome, and we get a good lunch out of it. I was also recently appointed within MACT to be the Zoom Communications Director, and I'm really excited to help out and be involved more with the association. It's been a little bit more daunting than what I thought, because there's a lot more meetings that go on via Zoom that I even knew about, but whatever. Dog licenses. We mailed out letters to all current dog and kennel license holders, informing them of the updated process from the last meeting. Many have called and told us how excited they are about the change. They are so excited. After the last board meeting, it was brought to my attention that the county has an animal control ordinance. I was unaware, I had no idea, but with the assistance of our legal counsel, April, I contacted her right away. We got a hold of legal. I'll be presenting an animal control ordinance amendment and resolution at an upcoming meeting to move forward with that change. And then last thing is Village of Hillman. The Village of Hillman submitted their summer tax roll to my office September 18th. So now all village taxes are now paid at the county for the remainder of the 2025 tax season. That's what I've been doing the last couple months. Thank you.
Do you want that in minutes?
I gave Lori a copy, but I just kind of finished them. So do you want me to send you guys a copy?
please.
I will.
Those are great. Thank you.
My copy.
Committee reports. Michelle?
Michigan Works, they've been awarded multi-mini grants from local and statewide entities. One is CFNEMI Women's Giving Circle. It builds women's skills in trades, exploration and mentoring. That was for 5,000. Another one is CFNEMI Community Impact Rural Connections Mobile Resource Kit, and that's for 5,000. With the budget, I know Michigan Works is worried that they may end up closing. We're not sure if they are essential workers yet. I know Jessica, she was going to check, I think, possibly today, she may know. So if they do shut down, they do have enough funds for them to operate payroll and everything for at least 2 weeks. If the government shuts down and they close the unemployment office, the board and the employees have decided that they would not close down the office. Well, they would do virtual. They would close the doors, but they would do virtual. So at least if people needed to contact them, they could do it over phone and they could help them on the computer so that they could at least still try to get their documentation in. She has, thank you. She spoke with Representative Cabot on 8/27. Whitiga on 9/10, Representative Borton on 9/16, Congressman Bergman on 9/18, just to see how things are going. They do have a big budget cut federally. They have been cut 20%. The WIA youth was dropped. The WIA adult program was cut 20%.
What is WIA? Is that based on the job?
Yes, yeah, it's what they help them with, I have to look it up, but yeah, it's with employment. Let's see. I do have it here. he has a program that helps, like the kids in and out of school, look for employment. The adults, let me see if I have that here. Helps them in placing them into jobs. Yes, job placement, like on-job training, things like that. Also, looking ahead, which would have been yesterday, she is meeting, continuing advocacy, meeting with other directors, CEOs, and also, they're cycling, they're finishing up, this year. Hopefully, when she was talking with representatives, she's trying to feel about when they think that, they will have the budget set. Because there are talks that they will be shutting down. She's had, numbers of October 3rd all the way up to possibly the 11th, if they do shut down. So. And I think that's about it.
The first meeting I had was last month on the 28th, right after our 9 a.m. BOC. Thunder Bay Transportation starts at 2:30. It was a very short meeting. We talked about, and we got to view the new sign out front. It's bigger, better, puts a lot of information out about Thunder Bay. We also have all of the permits and everything we need from the state and the contractors to start our building repairs. It's been started. It's kind of nice when you walk into the foyer and you don't see holes in the drywall anymore where wet drywall has fallen out, and those repairs are coming along great. One of the other great success stories that we had this year was the child ride with the Boys and Girls Club. All of the kids got to ride for free through the 3 months of summer vacation. So that program has ended, but it was a huge success. The community loved it. And Boys and Girls Club said that their attendance went way up because the kids had access to that. The next meeting I had was with NEMSCA. NEMSCA is on the first Friday of every month. That took place on the 5th. And once again, we in our executive director report, one of our programs called BOSS, it's the Bridges of Self-Sufficiency. This thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and more success stories of individuals who have risen up from homelessness and no place to live, turn into successful individuals in the community with jobs, and they're able to support themselves. Okay, our water program, another big success. We've paid $8,891 in bills. We've done $3,054 in plumbing repairs, and that serviced 14 homes. That program is another program like our weatherization that just keeps growing and growing and growing. It's like the more people learn about it, the more people who need help are actually coming into us. Weatherization is growing. I believe we've got 2 full teams that are going out now and doing repairs. They do evaluate. They've got an evaluation team. There's 4 teams really, but the first 2 are evaluated. They go out and they check the homes. They do those tests where you look at windows and doors and roofing and find out where the weak spots are. And then you sit down with the homeowner and you make the suggestions on how to improve their heat loss. So that's a fantastic program. And I think that was, yeah, that was it. The rest of it's just finances, and our finances with executive, with the NEMSCA is great. The next one I had was mental health. That was on the 11th. And Nina already presented, she did a better job than I could. That was an outstanding report. The one thing she didn't mention was our fall annual conference, which is October 27th and 28th, coming up real soon. It's an excellent conference. You get classes that are taught by college professors. They put out a lot of information on what community mental health is all about, teach you how all of the different programs interact with each other. And like she said, with our mental health, everything that mental health encompasses, the way they help people, and it's just a phenomenal conference. So thank you, Nina, for the wonderful job you did on that. You want me to cover health department
Yeah,
number
I
4?
wasn't there. They are not fiscally sound.
Lucky me. Yeah. Health department number 4, going through a little bit of a transition. We just got rid of our health director and 2 of her support staff. We have found out that we knew they were part-time employees from health department number 2, and they would come up for 2 days, work for 2 days, and then we wouldn't see them again for another week. Our department heads were having a very hard time trying to get their jobs done. And so the board decided that the best thing to do is to terminate our contract with 2, and we've gotten the regulations from the state, and Dr. Morrison is also on our board. He has given us the requirements that a health director has to fulfill. We have all of that from the state, from Dr. Morrison, and we're putting an ad together so that we can hire a new one. In the interim, I'm running health department number 4. So a lot of good people, just outstanding department heads, a lot of good people on the floor. I can't believe it. When you sit on a board, you really don't get to know the people that are actually working for the organization. Taking over as the interim health director, it's been a fantastic experience. Getting to know these people, working with them, supplying them with what they need, giving them direction, and I just can't say enough that just some fantastic people out there. So yeah, it was a big nut to chew off, but I'm real happy that I have this opportunity. So, and then I have another Thunder Bay meeting right after this meeting. So that's all I have.
I attended the FPS, which is Finance Personnel Sheriff Committee. We approved a budget adjustment. Updated budget was sent out by April, so everybody should have that in the county. I attended the Court Security Committee meeting. We discussed security needs and priorities, and Judge Green is going to be sending out an email or summary to the board with our discussion points, just kind of outlining what the needs are from the court's perspective and prioritizing them. I also attended NEMCOG. We approved the budget for the next fiscal year. The board approved a 3.5% increase for the next year. There was discussion about 10% increase or 3.5% over the next 4 years. And the board unanimously was not really comfortable with committing to a 4-year increase, even at 3.5%. So we decided we'll do 3.5% for the next year, and then we'll go year by year after that. So the next fiscal year budget for Montmorency County allocation is $4,557.11. April has that number for budgeting purposes. And then I attended landfill, but I'll let Bob fill in on that one.
I went to the LEPC LPT meeting and Sarah pretty much covered that. Now I think to add on that. In the landfill meeting, tonnage of is about the same as previous months, and had a surprise air quality and solid waste inspection, and we did pretty good on that. No real issues, and as far as I know, our audit, we did good on that too, so there's no issues on that, and it'll be in our CFO letter approval coming up, but pretty much everything's going good out there, no real issues.
Okay. And I had the FPS, but we've already had that covered by Michelle. So moving on, controllers report. I'm sorry, you just said you had FPS.
Is that all you have?
Yes.
I have one thing I need to add. I went to the landfill, on the board there for the new recycling. And we need to identify a business that produces toxic waste so that we can get established in the toxic waste flow of how things are supposed to work with the landfill. And we need someone to nominate a company, or if you know someone and we could get them to volunteer.
Talk to the emergency manager because she knows.
Toxic waste, or would that be considered biohazard?
I would.
Biohazard, yeah,
So
like,
talk to Sarah.
'Cause I know at EMS, we always had just such a hard time getting rid of our biohazard. We had to run it to Alpena when our biohazards filled up. So yeah, Sarah could probably reach out to the EMS stations.
yeah, it could be something like medical. They've got needles that they have to get rid of.
Yeah, that's what she's talking.
And
The clinics.
What about the clinics, Thunder Bay Clinic?
Yeah, the clinics.
and repair stations that do oil changes and stuff like that. They've got, we need somebody from Montmorency. There's 5 counties and 2 have already completed it. The other 3 have to
The
get on.
clinics would do that because they have probably quarterly pickups like. we
And
do.
they're not profit.
Between the
And they're not
dentist and the
profit.
doctors, you got
Yeah,
needles.
so
you
I would
got-
talk to
We
them.
need to get someone on board.
Yeah, just talk to the clinic
Okay,
or EMS.
I can do that.
Is it Amy?
What's that?
I think Amy, you get a hold of.
Yeah.
Amy at the clinic.
Okay.
Controllers report.
The debris sites, the mulching is completed at the Briley site. It took 6 days to complete instead of the estimated 5 days. The daily rate for that was $2,400. The final invoice though only came at $13,500. They cut us a break on that last day. They paid the full daily rate. As the board's aware, I notified them of the additional $1,500 for the project. It was paid via desk check on 9/12. It's reviewed and approved during our claims. FEMA also approved the increased amount to be reimbursed. They also have reviewed the whole project so that I had a final plan before we paid them out. So the mulching is a lot larger than we expected it to be because of the size of the piles. So they were able to spread it all out and let the material be left for composting. And so the site's closed. And FEMA put that in our project, so we're all set with that. If we were to continue with the sites, we would have had to have monitors, we would have had to have more money put into it, and then we wouldn't get reimbursed for that funding because that project's been submitted to FEMA. So kind of just needed everything to close down so that FEMA can get us reimbursed for the costs we did have for all those sites. So that being said, on the FEMA portion of it, category A project is submitted to FEMA for review. It's been completed. The total submitted for reimbursement on that portion was $25,238.86. Category B, I'm actually reviewing today at 2 o'clock with my PDMG, and we'll review it all and get it authorized. Then we will submit a donated resources project for the 25% match. So everything's going good with FEMA so far. DHD number 4, we had it on our last meeting. I have not all the counties have met to discuss that appropriation, the 10% increase. So I don't have any updates on what that's doing. It was asked if we could get more information as what they're gonna do to save money. Obviously, they're going through a little bit of things right now. They just got rid of the health director, so there's a lot of changes happening there. So hopefully we'll hear more from other counties on what their plan is and what that appropriation is gonna look like for us for next year.
Have any of the counties approved anything yet?
I have not received.
Sheboygan gave a 10, we did the 5, Alpena tabled it until the next meeting.
Correct.
And Presque Isle probably addressing tomorrow, I think their meeting is.
Their
tomorrow.
board meeting is tomorrow night,
Right,
and I plan to go to that one too, so.
so we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know everything yet on those. I emailed you some documents that were given to me by the mechanic for your guys' review. He asked for it to be put in your packets. He needed a part at it was available at AutoWares here in town, but he said it was a Chinese part and he could have ordered it on eBay for an OEM part made in USA. The credit card is available for those purchases, but it wasn't used. And we also found that that part, OEM part, was available at local dealers here in town. So I did provide that information to you guys.
And so was the mechanic, did you advise him that was, that he could use?
He
that credit card?
purchased it through AutoWares. He did not use the credit card process. Common Angle quotes. I talked a while ago about Common Angle had sent us quotes to upgrade all of our computers to Windows 11. And there was also a server quote for the sheriff's department on that. But when I got it, I reviewed it. They were trying to charge us labor costs on those, which we pay the bigger package with our IT company. So we're not supposed to pay any of those labor charges. And I went back and forth with them a few times and finally they said, oh yeah, you are on one of our grandfathered plans. You don't pay labor. So they removed those costs and that was about $25,000, almost $26,000 in labor costs that they were trying to charge us. But I'm still reviewing the computers that they're telling us we need to upgrade just to make sure that they're the ones we're actually utilizing. So there's no sense in upgrading anything if we're not using them. And then reviewing those quotes with them to go over. It did come up yesterday in our security meeting. We might want to start looking at alternatives for IT. It's becoming, the contract with Common Angle is more and more and more and more all the time with less service. And, you know, we were talked to other counties, we looked at other counties and a lot of them are taking IT in-house and then just like servicing out for third party for like cybersecurity information and things like that. So maybe it's something we should possibly look at, you know, coming up budget time, maybe a change might be due. Maybe we'll have better service and get things taken care of a little quicker and more efficiently for the county if we looked at some different options. Just a thought.
The court.
We discussed options, you know, looking into it. When we originally signed up with Common Angle, we had the bigger package. They were giving us a discount. But their monthly fee just jumps and jumps and jumps. And it's like, then when you ask them to fix something, some things aren't being fixed. And then they give you a reason why you can't. But if you want to upgrade to this part of the plan, then we can do this for you. And it's like everything we want to get done always ends up having some kind of extra cost tag to it. And
They don't come on site.
And they,
You have to mail
yeah, you
everything.
barely can get them on site here, so it's just frustrating. The 911 battery backup project is now complete. That's all done and paid for and reimbursed by the insurance. I submitted the fiscal 26 murmur questionnaire, so I sent that copy to you guys in your email. And I met with Darren and Andrew to review the after action report, just some notes that we had. So they're gonna be sending back that to review. I'm gonna have Sarah look at it and I will get to the board to review as well. So you guys will have it for your guys' information. Before I skip to the resolution and everything, just Commissioner LaRose talked about the NEMCOG increase. So we do have that fiscal 26 3.5% increase. So that'll be included in our budget for fiscal 26. I have updated the fund 737, which is the OPEB fund, and that's basically just tracking how much we have available in a retirement health savings funding vehicle in MERS. So it's just an asset fund. It basically says we put the $734,500 into MERS. We've expended how much of it to everybody's accounts for their full-time service years. All that part has been completed. And now they're getting it every payroll. So every payroll, you'll see that balance draw down. We're about still sitting in that fund in MERS is about $263,000. So it's still, it'll be tracked within our GLs. Also cleaned up the 841. When we originally had the lake assessments, We had 11 lake special assessments like for the lake levels. And we had then added Hiawatha, and then we ended up doing the bond. So now Hiawatha moved to Fund 891. The problem is with the other 11 is all the revenue was given to us in 2021, a big chunk of it, but it wasn't associated basically to every different lake level. So when you run a report, you can't, on BSNA, you can see all the money that came in for those special assessments, but you couldn't drill down to individual lake levels to find out what the balance is. So I went in and I created fund balances for each of those lake levels and shows the revenue that's been earned for each of those to date and shows all the expenditures for the date. So if Lindsay or anybody wants to go on, they can run a report and know exactly what those fund balances are for each lake level now. So that's been set up. I did get a generator quote in for the annex. It was about $65,000, and that was not even an installation cost. So we are still looking at that, and that was something we talked about in port security as well, but just so you have an idea on that. And then we'll have the ordinance and the resolution for the animal control ordinance and the dog license fee structure on the next agenda for you guys to approve. And then we also sent some information to the attorney for the sheriff's sale that the sheriff sent over to the attorney for review. So then that brings us to the next step is the resolution number 2025-10. So when we created the policy for chief deputies, or elected officials and chief deputies, you know, when you set the state salary and they can't be diminished within a year, it is normal. A lot of counties around us have their chief deputies as hourly, and our attorney is aware that that is occurring. It's not an issue unless you ever got to a point where somebody had to take an extended amount of leave and they ran out of their leave time, and then so their next paycheck, they didn't get paid that normal paycheck, then you could possibly have an issue with liability because you can't diminish their pay within the year. So it could cause an issue. So yes, you can do it as an hourly employee, but you know, the better option is to switch them to a salaried position, which means there's no more PTO. It's a flexible schedule. They work that out with their elected official. They're paid a salary throughout the entire year, no more accruing PTO, but they still have the same retirement benefits and health benefits and everything like that. In the resolution, it would be accepting a policy to create this. And I also included on there what the policy would look like, what we would send a letter to all of our elected officials so that they're aware of what's going on. And then we'd also have a letter for all the employees, and it'd be three departments that are affected with this. So they know what their new pay would look like. It wouldn't change the amount they're paid at all. It just means they're no longer filling out a timesheet or accruing any PTO. They just have a flexible schedule.
And we were requested from the Register of Deed office.
Yes.
She wants this.
Yeah, she wanted her person to be considered salary, and so if we were gonna do one, we needed to look at all of them and just get that set in place.
Was it discussed with the other affected departments?
No, I just sent this out. Like I said, it was just a request from the Register of Deeds office, so this is afterwards. I reached out to our attorney just to see if what we need to do, like if we were required to, and he said you can, but you're not required to, so.
But nobody would actually lose.
If they're already hired as hourly, there's no set wage that they have other than their hourly wage.
So they're getting
If they're
paid.
sick, you're not reducing their wage, so I don't think that applies.
What do you mean? Well,
Well, it's not
if they were doing,
guaranteed to make $45,000 a year, $50,000 a year, that's salary. Or hourly, there's no set wage. If you only work 30 hours every week, that's what your pay is. I mean, it's not like
right,
reducing their pay. You have to reduce their pay, you have to reduce their hourly rate. So I don't see how that applies by saying you can't reduce their wages.
because you are supposed to set their salary, which means the full amount they're paid for the annual amount at the beginning of their position.
We switch them to salary.
No. It doesn't matter if they're salary or hourly. It says that as a chief deputy and elected officials, they have a set annual amount they're supposed to be paid, and that can't be diminished throughout the year.
Just
So,
based on the hourly rate.
and so, yeah, so right now they're based on hourly rate at 35 hours a week. If at any point they didn't have enough PTO time to cover time that they left. So if somebody worked 30 hours, then you've now diminished that annual salary because they're not gonna receive that full 35-hour pay that they should have for the week. And that's the statute that they're saying, that you can't diminish that total salary for the year for an elected official or your chief deputies.
Do you see a problem with it, Lindsay, you or the other?
Not at all. Not at all. It's just following statute. The whole, not diminishing the pay. And quite honestly, I just think that it goes more along with the practices of an administrative position. I don't see a problem with it at all.
Was the policy reviewed by the attorney yet, or are we just gonna submit that with?
That policy came from the attorney originally. He gave it to, that was what they wrote up for MAC for all counties to use. And that was actually our attorney.
4 hours that you're required to work if they're switched to salary.
So they're required to do their duties and they're required to be in the office, but they have a flexible schedule on that. It's up to their elected official, like how much time when they can leave and when they can't leave. So I mean, it's not like they have to be in the office. They are required to do their duties and be in there for the full 35 hours a week, like any other.
So 35 hours is their minimum core hours that they're required to be here working.
But they can do a flex schedule, which means they could come in earlier, they could leave later, or they could work extra hours one week and less hours the next week. That's the setup for the flexible schedule with a salary employee, non-exempt for an exempt salary employee.
We want to see a situation where they're abusing the
Oh, 100%.
salary, where they're only working 25 hours a week and getting paid 40.
That would be up to your elected officials because they approve their hourly people's time. They would also be responsible for how many hours that their chief deputies are working. So the elected officials would be required to make sure that their chief deputies are in the office for those hours.
Just to use Lindsay as an example, I'm assuming that you have a schedule in your office, you know what everybody's working, and would that be what you would continue?
Absolutely. We don't plan on changing anything. I just explained to my chief deputy this resolution and said, literally, the only difference is that you don't punch time clock and you don't have PTO. You don't have to report that or comp to me anything. Other than that, nothing else is changing. And in fact, so right now, the only thing that I can see, and I don't know if that's being the wording or whatever, but right now, chief deputies are grade 4 and then step whatever year they're at. So my chief deputy would move to, it's called salary 4, April, salary 4, I think it is, the top one.
So she would move.
Step 1.
She'd still be at step 1.
Right. And it's like, I did the math on it, it's like $3 difference.
It's basically
the
that.
same pay, she's just not punching in a time clock. That's it.
And so, and for instance, we have a few people, they've been accruing PTO time, and I ran the numbers, and the 3 of them that are all switching, it's not a significant amount of money. You're looking at 35 hours on one, 42 on another, and 30 on another. It would be my suggestion that if they're going to be allowed flexible schedule for the rest of the year and then moving forward, that you would just zero out those balances, because they're going to be able to take the time they want in that office. I would suggest that each elected official kind of keeps track of those hours that they have currently and make sure that they get them that time off. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you'd have to pay them out for it, but then you're kind of.
My only question is comp. Because comp hours were worked over and above what they were expected to do, PTO hours,
So
whatever the board wants to do.
The comp hours are actually very minimal. That was even less than, so the comp hours, we had 0.75 for one, another had 8.75 and the other had 0.75. So there was only.
It's teeny tiny, but it's still extra hours above the 35 hours that they have already put in to date.
So if you just pay that out, that comp.
We can pay those comp hours out, or like I said, you can have the elected officials keep track and give them that time off, or however you guys want to do it. That would be up to you guys on how you want to handle it.
Comp should get paid out because it's time and a half.
No, it's not, because it's not over 40 hours.
Oh, yeah, you're right, you're right. Because we're only at 35.
Still, you get
I think mine
vacation
is like
time, but they
0.75
wouldn't be
girl,
getting
so
personal
we'll
time.
work it out, but.
Still be getting vacation time, earned vacation time, but they wouldn't be getting the personal time off.
No, it's PTO and comp is all we have, and no, they would no longer accrue anything. They become a salaried exempt employee with a flexible schedule.
Which means the elected official
Is in charge.
So if they say I need 2 weeks off, then it's up to the elected official to adjust accordingly, and they are eligible for it.
Correct. we do have other individuals here, non-elected officials non-elected or appointed that do that. That would be our court administrators. They are in that same situation. Our court administrators are salaried individuals. They do not accrue PTO, but they have a flexible schedule.
I would make, I would make the motion to accept that resolution 2025-10 that we have, considering all of that. Can I add with the nuance? I think we just pay off their comp. It's a very small amount of money. Just pay that comp outright and be done with it. I think it'll be enough for some of even, the 32, 45 hours work kind of at the end of the year. Might be kind of hard to get even some of those hours in. So that would be my motion.
Can I ask for an effective date?
They would be effective November 1st is what the policy states, unless you want to change that.
Well, I'm just thinking for the payout date, 'cause I don't anticipate my employee to do this, but why wouldn't an employee hurry up and gain 10 hours of comp time just to get paid out?
I would freeze
over the
that.
next month.
I'm fine with adjusting that to pay the comp time at this point, no more comp time.
So I would do the motion to do your resolution, and then for the cleanup of the rest of it, do a motion that states that stuff separately.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Well, I
There's a
can't.
motion in a second.
So your first motion is just to approve resolution 25.
Yes,
And that was by you and then Peltier.
yes. Okay, so now let's discuss it. Like we have it. Any further discussion on that?
Underlying reason is flawed just because they're not really salaried employees. Like you're saying they have, so their hourly wage. My disagreement is.
Well, we're transitioning them. They will be salaried now. That's what this is. They will be salaried. They aren't hourly anymore. That's.
I'm just saying the previous reason why they're saying, because if they run out of personal time, we gotta pay them the minimum salary, but they're not salaried.
Right. Exactly. And that's why it was a liability according to the employer's response. So.
Hourly, and could make up to approximately this amount. But guarantee them their wage. I don't see it. Flawed policy to begin with.
It's statute, though.
So I'll read you what the attorney said. The
I
law
know what you're getting
contemplates.
at, but I'm just saying it's flawed to begin with.
Oh,
It's not like it's always guaranteed to get.
I totally agree with you, but we're just trying to put everything in how statute says it's supposed to be. That's all. And because then it removes that liability. It's technically, if, for instance, let's use one of Lindsay's individuals in her office. Say they had no comp time and no PTO left, and something happened and she had to take 4 days off because of her kid was sick. She now has no hours, and doesn't have the full 35 hours for that week. She's gonna get paid less than what she normally would every week. She would have the ability to come after the board and say, I'm legally required not to have my salary diminished. I need to be paid for that full week. And that's the statute. That's the problem.
It's statute.
Yeah, still not right as far as I'm concerned, my personal opinion, because in my case, my whole life, I was out of vacation time and I had a personal emergency where I had to miss time. That was just too bad. Sorry about your luck. Hope you had some savings to cover it. That's the way it should be, personal responsibility, but.
I get where you're coming from and I completely understand. I'm just telling you what the statute says we have, what we're required to do.
Only for chief deputies.
Right.
This is not for every employee. It's just the administrative, what did they say?
It's your chief deputies of your elected officials, so
Yeah,
administrative
something in the
offices.
statute.
So this would be your chief deputy clerk, your chief deputy register of deeds, and your chief deputy treasurer, 3 individuals.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Roll
I don't
call,
have
please.
anything more.
Rose.
Yes.
Tom.
No.
Maurice. Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Kelsey.
Yes.
Motion passes. I would make a second motion, that we freeze any further comp. Probably after. When's the payroll?
And Saturday.
So if I ended on this payroll date, makes it the 27th.
So you want, okay, so the motion would be, the next payroll date to pay them would be October 1st. So you can have the motion to pay out any remaining comp
Okay.
for those three individuals on 10/1. Not to exceed what it currently is set at, but they could utilize that time if they chose to.
There we go.
And to freeze PTO accrual as well.
So. Your motion is to freeze any further comp time accrual for the chief deputies as of today. And to pay them out what they currently have as their calendar books
For October 1st.
for,
That would be an October 1st payday, right?
oh, to pay them October 1st.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to exceed what they.
right. Not to exceed what they have been.
I'll second.
A motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
LaRose.
Yes.
Okay, I will send out these letters to everybody. So I have them.
Do we want to, I'm thinking we can make the motion to add this 713 transition of county chief deputies from hourly to salary status into our policy book. I would make that motion.
You already did it, the resolution.
Oh, the resolution stated that, okay, we're good, okay. Is that it with your control report?
Nope, the last thing is the MOA landfill CFO letter approval. So that was sent over by the administrator over there. And we need, this is an annual thing. The auditors will send me their signed letter as well. And then I need this letter approved and signed by the board, and then I send it all back to Connie.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of that landfill financial test.
I'll second that.
Post-closure costs as presented by Mrs. Oyer.
I'm sorry, what was your motion? Motion to acknowledge what?
The receipt of the landfill financial test for closure and post-closure costs. Presented by Ms. Oyer.
We need a motion to, there was a second.
Yeah, Lloyd seconded.
Okay, do we need a motion to approve rather than receive?
I think we're just accepting this. It says my submission of this letter has been duly approved by a vote, just that she submitted that letter. We just need to approve we received this information.
I think you just need a motion to approve what you
You're-
received.
Right.
You're signing the letter, so I don't know if you want to approve the letter. Is your signature on it?
Change the motion that you're making a motion to approve your signing of this letter.
Okay, to approve the signing of the letter. I'll add that. Does that have your support, Lloyd? For your
Yes,
second?
absolutely.
Okay. And we roll call. Any further discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Hammer,
Yes.
Hardy's,
Yes.
Peltier,
Yes.
LaRose,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
It's easier if I say Bob. Try to pronounce his last name.
I have a couple comments on the letter. So the controller's report. So it says that there's an enterprise discussion September with Danny Brown. Is there something scheduled on the calendar?
I have a meeting with him On the first, he's on paternity leave, just had another baby. But he's supposed to be calling me, I think it's the first, I have to look at my calendar. And then he was gonna hopefully get on the agenda from that part.
So it's not scheduled yet?
It's not scheduled for sure yet. I don't know which October meeting it's gonna end up being, but it's gonna be one of the October meetings. He wanted to come back in front of the board to answer any of the questions and present some information that just options that you have.
Okay. And then I heard feedback from a few departments about a quick turnaround in the budget, so for next year, I don't know if that's something that can be looked at with the timeline, maybe sending it out earlier to give a couple.
We usually do it earlier, which is FEMA had a lot of my time wrapped up because I've been meeting with them quite a few times to go over the projects and getting their stuff submitted to them.
How much turnaround time is usually given?
It's only usually a few weeks. Usually I give it out, usually give it out end of August, beginning of September, and then it's due mid-September, so it's usually only a few weeks.
Okay. So I think the question wasn't like starting it earlier, but the spread of time.
It's about, it was 2 weeks this time instead of 3.
Okay, so it's usually 3. Okay, and then I just wanted to comment to that information in the controller's report. There's no indication to me that that's not going to be discussed at board meetings. So when 2 different packets are spreading around, I don't know that. And the packet that was sent to the board, another department head was copied. So there's no indication by that email that that was intended just for the board. If there's communications that are strictly for the board and it's FYI and it's not for discussion at the meeting, I would advise putting that in a separate email. Because the whole thing that happened was like a complete miscommunication and how things went down. It wasn't me running over to the treasurer and like, oh, look at this, let's talk about this. That is not at all how it happened. I'm sure that's how it appears. I actually went there for a different conversation and this came into the conversation and these questions came up and then this kind of spun out of control. So I think it's worthy of discussing these things at the next finance meeting with policy concerns. That would be my suggestion, is putting those notes in a discussion at the finance meeting. That's at the chair's discretion. So I just wanted to comment on that. I think it's spun a little bit out of control. It was, again, not indicated to me that those notes were not going to be discussed at the meeting. And the recording secretary should have the same packet that the board has for recording purposes and to follow along. So I don't know why there would be 2 separate packets.
So normally, like if I have like attorney information, I've done it in previous, I put it at the very bottom of the report for your guys' information, you have it with you, but I can just put it on a different sheet that only goes to you guys as well. But there are certain things that don't need to go on the minutes.
I understand like confidential information. I completely understand that. It just like to have the notes removed from the packet. It just, and it's not in this version. So if it wasn't intended to be brought up at the meeting, that's fine. I would just say that let's not put it in reports and handle that separately with the board, would be my suggestion. So there's not confusion by board members as to what's going to be discussed at meetings or not. I didn't have any other comments.
Discussion items, there's none listed. Unfinished business, nothing. The county canvasser appointment, we have that. Cheryl presented that to us in an email.
I would make a motion to appoint Republican nominee Thomas Williams and Democratic nominee Elaine Carlson to the Montmorency County Board of Canvassers, each for a 4-year term expiring on October 31st, 2029, based on the recommendation of the county clerk.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any discussion on that? The only discussion I had on that was in the packet, and Cheryl isn't here to ask the question. Marie Fielder is from Alpena. Why was she commenting on our Democratic nominee for Montmorency? Anybody aware of why? No.
As far as I know, just the two that she recommended were the ones with the experience, and they didn't really have experience.
Right, I just see that Cheryl had reached out to Marie Fielder. Oh, no, Marie Fielder, it was from Marie Fielder to Cheryl, to Cheryl, and I was just wondering why. Do we not have an active Democratic chair in Montmorency County?
The email shows a reply, so I think Cheryl reached out to her.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, it's just a question why.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we could just maybe ask Cheryl. Reach out to her and ask, put that in the minutes. That we just want clarification on why we got a response from Marie Fielder for Montmorency.
Does anybody know who our Democratic Party chair is?
That's what I'm just asking.
Maybe that's just like, maybe we don't have one.
Maybe we don't.
Yeah, but it's just a question. Any other questions on the nominations?
Vote on it.
Well, we've already got a motion to
seconded the
accept them in a
So if we
second.
don't, know-
Bob,
we don't know who this individual, this lady is.
oh, no, we do. She said Thomas Williams for Republican and Elaine Carlson for Democrat. That's what the motion is right now.
I know, but
They
you
both,
said she's from.
Elaine-
No.
Elaine currently is on the board.
yeah, they both currently are.
It's the letter that Cheryl attached is from Marie Fielder,
Oh,
confirming that it was fine to, have Elaine on, and I was just wondering why, so. Curiosity. Hearing none, all in favor, say yes.
yes.
Yes, opposed, no. Motion passes. Republican nominee Tom Williams, current canvasser, and Democratic nominee will be Elaine Carlson. The town sure fit money, current policy, we had that in our packet. If there were any questions, I would make a motion to, I don't know how to do this, because what I would like to do is send this with our other policies for the lawyers review to make sure that we're not missing anything, and if we need to add anything to it, especially considering that we're saying that if other departments, accept a counterfeit bill, they're gonna be accountable for that loss. I guess I just think this should go to the lawyer.
I agree 100%. I did reach out to multiple other counties and kind of drew from some of them. Some of them were one pagers, way too underdone. Some of them were quite extensive. The only thing that I did add that was specific to our county is I had reached out to sheriff just to say, hey, is this something that's in your ball field or mine? So we agreed that, and generally treasurer's offices handle them, but I would send him a copy of this report every time, just that he knows to run the serial numbers or whatever they do. So I did add that as a check off under the treasurer's office use only, but that was the only thing specific to our county that I added.
So do you just want me to have, when we send the policies to the attorney, just have this as a document at the end of it to say, review this and then add it to this section if it's okay?
Right,
Kind of
because it's
thing?
gonna need a section number and a
Okay.
number, yeah.
So did you make a motion? I know you started to make a motion.
Maybe we don't have to make a motion on it. My thought is, can we just, or do you want me to make? I can make a motion to add this to our current policy. But it'll go to the lawyer for review.
I could also just send it to him now too and have them review it. And so you could table it for now if you'd like.
Yeah,
That's another option.
Well, I think it's probably a good idea that we have one, so I'm not against having the
Okay.
policy.
I just put like pending approval.
Well, it's just going with our policy. We
Oh,
know
right
that our
now.
policy is going for review anyway, so it is
Okay.
gonna be reviewed.
Okay.
Add the policy after review of attorney.
Correct. And second was by Michelle LaRose.
Seconded by Michelle. I'm in the room.
Yeah. In the mean, oh, sorry.
Can I-
You're voting. I'm sorry. Just in the meantime, until this policy gets approved or whatever, just a word of advice to all of the offices to just use your due diligence, have counterfeit pens, mark all of your bills. This was a $50 bill, and I know stereotypically it's $100 bills that get counterfeited, but It's all levels. So it's a quick swipe, and if any offices need counterfeit pens, they must have been on sale because my office has a lot of them. So I can hand them out.
Interestingly enough, I talked to Alpena County Area Credit Union about that. They said 20s. Make sure you're marking your 20s because that's
That's what I've heard.
the smaller bills. quicker.
Well,
So-
and the policy like this, it's unfortunate that we have to have it because it happened. But like I said, I wasn't there the day that it happened, or else I would have advised my staff not to put it back into rotation, circulation with the rest of the bills. I am aware of credit union standards, but I didn't know if the county had to fall under that as well. So after doing some research, we do. So hopefully we never have to face it again, but it'll be here and everybody knows.
Yeah, and right, at the other departments need to make sure they have the pens.
Yeah, I just want to clarify the intent, because I heard from you, Mary, that this would be implemented immediately, so we have something, but still go to the attorney for review, or is this, we're not,
This is just to
add to the policy for review, but would we implement this now, or wait for attorney review? What is the intent with the motion?
You might want to make sure that it's legal, like what you're allowed to do before.
I just want to make sure it was clear, because I kind of heard both directions in the discussion, so.
Well, I think what I'm suggesting is that everybody use the pens and mark it, and so that the attorney can review it, and then we know that we've got everything covered.
So your motion, is it to add the counterfeit policy to the book once it's approved by the county attorney?
Yeah.
Okay.
And April, maybe you could send out an email, or maybe Lindsay as the treasurer, you could send out an email to everybody, departments that you have the pens available, and make sure they start marking. At least we've identified if anything's being passed. So we have that review. All in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed? Resolution 2025-11, resolution opposing the House of Representatives fiscal year 26 budget cuts to county revenue sharing. Want to read that?
Sure. This came from MAC. They asked us to get it out there. So this is, whereas counties are mandated by the state of Michigan to provide essential public services, including courts, jails, elections, public health, public safety, and human services. And whereas unlike cities, villages, and townships, counties do not receive constitutionally guaranteed revenue sharing and instead rely solely on statutory revenue sharing, leaving counties uniquely vulnerable to annual state budget decisions. And whereas the House of Representatives version of the fiscal year 2026 state budget proposes a 34.9 million reduction in county statutory revenue sharing, wiping out the long overdue progress made in fiscal 25 to restore revenue sharing to sustainable levels. And whereas the House plan, if enacted, would leave counties with just over 256 million in statutory revenue sharing statewide, while constitutional revenue sharing for cities, villages, and townships is set to reach 1.1 billion, and when combined with statutory revenue sharing, CVTs would get 1.4 billion. And whereas the House plan shifts 40 million into restricted share funding with strings attached, requiring counties to maintain higher law enforcement funding levels, even as flexible revenue sharing is reduced, thereby further straining already limited general funds. And whereas public safety dollars directed exclusively to sheriffs are not equivalent to revenue sharing, since they cannot be used to support the wide range of mandated services counties must provide. And whereas the Senate budget proposal provides just over 320 million in county statutory revenue sharing, an increase of 29.1 million over fiscal 25, and includes 60 million for public safety that can be allocated at the discretion of county boards of commissioners rather than by bypassing them. And whereas the Senate approach respects county governance, strengthens general fund flexibility, and better equips counties to meet their broad statutory responsibilities. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Montmorency Board of Commissioners strongly urges the Michigan legislature and governor to reject the House revenue sharing cuts and support the Senate's proposal to increase county revenue sharing and provide flexible funding for public safety needs. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be transmitted to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, House Speaker Matt Hall, and chairs of the House and Senate Appropriations Committees.
What's your pleasure?
I reached out to Cam Cavett, our representative Cam Cavett, and he gave a response. I can read it if you guys would like to hear it. wanted to do a phone call, but I just kind of ran out of time, so this is sort of last minute attempt to reach out to him. But he said, "Thank you for sharing your resolution regarding county revenue sharing. I want to assure you that I understand the concerns you've raised. Montmorency County, like many others across northern Michigan, provides essential services that residents depend on, and I know how critical it is that you have the resources and flexibility to meet those responsibilities. As someone who served as Sheboygan County Drain Commissioner for 12 years, I understand firsthand the challenges counties face in providing mandated services with limited resources. That experience has given me a deep appreciation for the importance of stable, flexible funding for local government. It's also important to note that the budget passed in the House is not the final version. This is just one step in the process, and there will be ongoing negotiations with the Senate and the governor before a final budget is enacted. While I recognize your concerns about statutory revenue sharing reductions, I want to point out that the House budget fully makes up for those lost dollars by creating a public safety trust fund, which provides dedicated funding for law enforcement needs, as well as through the roads package, which directs funds straight to county road commissions. Under this plan, the Montmorency County Road Commission would receive more than $9 million to help address local infrastructure needs. Your input is valuable in helping guide these discussions, and I will continue working to ensure that the final budget reflects the needs of Montmorency County and all of northern Michigan."
So how much was allocated to the public safety? Or does that he say?
It doesn't say the dollar amount in there, no. He gave the roads value, yeah.
Typical resolution that you want, they said it was like 40 million, wasn't it?
Into restricted.
For the sheriff, yeah.
It's restricted.
And we don't know what,
It's not super.
we
clear
don't
when-
know what restricted means. What are they gonna restrict? What are they doing? You know, that's the bad thing.
Well, restricted to the sheriff department would be my guess, or you can't go build a new park with it or something.
Well, they'll tell you what the restrictions are. That's a thing, not knowing what they are. No.
Just for, I mean, there's large numbers being talked about here, because it's talking about all the counties. Our county receives about $260,000 to $270,000 in revenue sharing right now. So that drastic a cut, you're gonna see a big chunk of our revenue go down, you know, a lot. If it's
And when would we
restricted
see
for
those
certain
funds?
things, it's not gonna be able to just go to general fund use. It's gonna have to be going to certain areas where right now you have $262,000. That's all you get from the state for your statutory duties to help with. So it doesn't touch most of your statutory duties as it is.
And we don't know when these funds may get to us or get. Yeah, we don't know.
Don't know a lot of things.
That's what's hard with the budget, not knowing what
It all
we're
changes.
going to get or get cut.
Bargain.
And maybe it's worth asking Kim Kevin to present, discuss, and be able to ask questions.
So I have administrative meetings with Mac, and Mac's been talking about this a lot because they're attending those budget meetings and looking into this. And they're looking at the total effect of, you know, all the counties and what this looks like. And they're the ones that are pushing this resolution to help protect the counties because they see it as a detriment to the counties all around.
And they obviously don't see that it's being made up like.
Right, because road commissions are separate from counties. So if you take the money away from the counties to give the road commission, I get it. Fund your road commissions, give them more money, but don't take away from the smaller amount you're already giving to the counties to do that. Take it from somewhere else to give to the roads. So their plan is to remove money from us to give to the road commission and still keep their budgets in other places high.
Can I add a little context? I was involved with this week. You have every local government association pushing back on this across the state. All MML, MTA, MAC, they're all pushing back. Basically, they're cutting it to put it mostly into roads. And nobody's happy. So in this week, they were actually having these discussions on it. So the sooner you react to a resolution and the more pushback they get, maybe there'll be a turn in terms of, you know, responding back. But that's what all the associations are reaching out to get letters of support and resolution to oppose the big cuts in state revenue sharing.
So this is diversion for the roads.
Primarily.
other counties around us have passed this and they share their resolutions with us that they passed. Just Don forwarded it to you guys. One that just got.
Well, for purposes of the vote resolution, I will make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-11 as presented.
That's second.
Further discussion.
So the Senate budget's proposing an increase of 29.1 million. I'm trying to like understand the Senate versus House proposals.
Right. And we're
Because
not,
it's saying, sorry, it's saying support, we are supporting the Senate's proposal, not supporting the House's proposal. But just being clear that the Senate doesn't have things hidden in there that we wouldn't agree with either. I'm not familiar with them, so.
Senate is Democrat controlled and the House is Republican controlled. Sounds to me like kind of the way it always is between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats have a tax and spend policy, and Republicans want to cut money.
and basically what this resolution is saying is there's, like Cam said, that they're still continuing to hammer it all out, but the resolution actually is saying that it would be a pushback against cutting county revenue sharing, not the intricacies of it, but just keep the county revenue sharing intact.
So last year we had resolutions and Mac talked to us because they pushed so hard to fund that state revenue trust fund, create that.
Right.
And that was created. Now they're kind of taking away from that. So the work that we did last year to get that in place for counties
This
is now,
removes that.
it kind of removes it. That's explanation that Matt gives when we have our meetings together. You know, all the work that they did to get that trust fund put in place and start funding it for counties, so they're guaranteed funding for the statutory duties that we're required to carry out.
I listened to one of their podcasts probably about 4 weeks ago, and it was early though into this discussion, but they did mention that but they didn't have some of these figures at that point.
Does anybody know where the Senate's proposed increase is coming from?
There would have been the state trust fund plan that they put in place a couple years ago, that they were gonna start increasing it every year. Would be mine. I don't know exactly, but that's what was explained by Matt.
That's what Mac's opinion is.
Mac has said that's where they're pulling the extra 30 million. Which says an increase of 29.1 million.
It's increasing the statutory revenue sharing. That was the plan when they did the trust fund in place, is that they were gonna increase that funding every year when they originally set it up. Now they're taking it away
Utilizing it for something else.
and restricting it, because like the way the Senate has it set up, it would be that money stays and goes into the trust fund for counties. And it
They're
can be
gonna tell
used
us
by
how
the
to do
counties unrestricted, like at your discretion, how you put it in your budgets. And like I said, it's $262,000. The House is restricting it, so they're gonna say, oh, no, you can only use this percent for this, and you have to use this percent for this. But if it's going into your general fund, you already have your department set up that are a certain percentage of your budget. If they say it's gotta go towards public safety, that includes your prosecutor, your sheriff's department, you know, those are all included. Our public safety percentage every year in our audit shows we're over 47 to 50% public safety in our general fund.
Any further discussion? It is a resolution opposing the House of Representatives fiscal budget cuts to county revenue sharing. And again, we don't know the individual amounts leaving. So just based off of the fact that we don't want them to cut into the county revenue sharing as presently received. Therefore, All those in favor, say yes.
Roll
Yes. call.
Roll call, sorry. Yep, roll call. Parties. Yes. Beltier,
Yes.
LaRose,
No,
Bob,
No.
Hamlin,
Yes.
motion passes. Resolution. Without exception, can adjourn. It is 11:44. 11:33.